It is a new year. We are going to make new art and have a good time today, hopefully. Confession time. I actually already filmed this video. Let's just say I was really interested in the art that I was making and I didn't film the intro. So we have a little series on my channel that's been going for a while where I make tiny paintings. Now, obviously tiny is relative to the artist. However, for me, this is what I would consider tiny. So I like to do 6x6 paintings in this series. I'll try to link the series below. Anyway, we're gonna do 3 paintings today and I'm really excited for it. Let's just hop on in. So one of my favorite things to do on my channel is to bring inspiration to you in many different styles and forms. I know we are all different people and we have different interests, and mine are kind of all over the place, so I feel like that's a fun way to just put my art out there and hope that it reaches different people in different ways. So I like to do that through testing art supplies, goofy challenges, and I also dive deeper with videos like this where I do tiny paintings or I do like sketchbook idea videos. So this video I'm gonna do 3 paintings, as I said, and it's all acrylic paint, and I'm just jumping into what gives me the most artistic fuel, you know? What makes me feel inspired. Now in 2020, you may have noticed that my art took a huge shift. I started diving into painting water, to doing landscapes, all sorts of different things. And if you look back on my Instagram, actually, years ago, I focused mostly on people, and then I started getting into plants, and now we're here. And I still like doing all those things. Anyway, with this piece, I wanted to kind of incorporate all my loves. So you're seeing water, the landscapes, and plants. And I really enjoyed this because my goal with this piece was to focus on color. And most of the time when I do landscapes, the colors are very like vivid and bright. And I want to make vivid and bright colors work. However, I also want to take that to the opposite end of the spectrum and do gloomy, overcast days and make those less saturated colors work too. So I'm playing with a little bit of both here, and this one it's more toned down, and I really, really enjoyed it. I especially enjoyed too telling myself, you know, Mira, back off the detail, do bigger brush strokes, and just see where it takes you. So yeah, if you're somebody who wants to switch up your style or learn different brush techniques, these tiny paintings are so nice. They don't take as long as big paintings, so you can practice quite easily, and then if you like what you do, you can blow it up on a huge canvas. But these little panel canvases are also really nice. They're great for framing and stuff, so I enjoy it. Hope this inspires you. So I'm really happy with how this piece turned out. I actually took this picture a couple years ago when I was in California. My husband and I were traveling for our anniversary, and I remember when we were driving down Route 1, feeling so inspired and snapping all these pictures and telling myself, I'm going to paint these. And yeah, years kind of just went by and I didn't. And then in the new year, I decided, you know, I want to invest in myself. So I decided to take this class on Skillshare called Color Masterclass, Simple Steps to Create Vivid Art by Vic Donier. It really inspired me to just mess with color and especially like neutrals in nature, because I feel like I always make my colors a little too bright sometimes. Now, since I just mentioned that class on color theory, I also just want to thank Skillshare for kindly sponsoring today's video. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of different classes that allow you to explore your creativity. I've been using Skillshare for over 2 years and they're always adding new classes. They have stuff ranging from oil painting to productivity, cooking, so many cool topics that allow you to invest in yourself. Skillshare has helped me so much as both an artist and a small business owner. Now, something really cool about Skillshare is it is curated specifically for learning. They don't want your flow to be interrupted, so there's no ads. And it's also super affordable. A premium membership is less than $10 a month. And as I said, they're always adding new classes, so you can make the best of 2021 by, learning something new every month. That's awesome. So if you want to explore your creativity, I have good news for you. The first 1,000 people to click the link in the video description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium. I will also actually link the class that I'm currently taking in the video description because it has been a very helpful resource for me, and I hope that you guys can benefit from it too. Let's move on to the next painting. So with this piece here, I am doing a diluted underpainting with burnt sienna. And you may have noticed in old videos, I pretty much do this with every painting that I do, for at least oil and acrylic anyway. I like to do my underpaintings with that and sometimes even block in values. Now with this piece, it's a little different. I'm not gonna block in values. I just need that base color to shine through, because we're painting an eye and I want that warm tone to shine through the skin, if you feel what I'm saying. So yeah, I decided to just do an eye. Honestly, I didn't want to commit to doing a full-blown portrait. And if you want to practice one area of the face, you totally don't have to commit to the full portrait either. I don't think it's always necessary. So yeah, and I know many people also love to just draw a single eye. It's really fun for some reason. So yeah, I decided to do that. Now, I think my main goal with this piece was to focus on color and to play around with blue and red, and also just keeping my color palette not super bright. So yeah, you're gonna see in my shadows some blue appearing, you'll see some red appearing, and I really enjoyed the process of this piece. I thought it was fun to just slow down, and honestly, I had a reference photo up on my screen, and I would very meticulously mix my colors and then hold the brush up to my screen to color match it. It was kind of like the class I talked about earlier, because she used the eyedropper tool to kind of do that with color palettes that she wanted to use. So I tried to implement that technique in a traditional style, and yeah, it really helped me. So hopefully if you struggle with color theory, or you just want to brush up on that or get more accurate colors, that little tip helps you. I find that holding my brush up to my reference photo, and sometimes even if I print out my reference photo, I'll paint little pieces directly onto it to try to match the colors. And that has helped me so much with my color mixing game. Another thing that's helped me also is just limiting how many colors I put on my palette and try to mix them myself. I mean, you can do whatever you feel is good for you, but yeah. This wasn't really supposed to be a tutorial, but I don't know. Hopefully all these little nuggets of information inspire you in some way. Also, something I had so much fun doing was the thin skin tone layers. So from the side angle, it does look like there's texture within this, but I spread that paint so thinly that the burnt sienna underpainting does shine through a little bit. And I thought that effect was so cool. I really want to implement that more into my artwork and kind of let the underpainting show through in different ways, whether it be through like thin layers of paint or just like messily coming through. I see a lot of artists do that with nature, and they kind of let that sienna glow show through leaves and stuff, and it's so cool. Anyway, yeah, I also messed with brush strokes here, like tons of little strokes on the eyelids, and it was just fun giving the skin texture in different ways. And I always think, you know, once you get to this stage of the painting, if you just push yourself and do fun little things like this, it really, really changes how your artwork comes out. And if you're not much of a painter, you can do this still with like drawings, adding those final highlights and stuff. It's just so fun. Art is such a fun thing. I'm so glad that we can like relate to each other through this, and yeah. Let me know what's on your list of art goals this year, if you've made any. I'm curious. For instance, do you want to paint more? Get better at color theory or anatomy? Maybe attempt a completely different style of art? Let me know. I love hearing what you are working on and working toward. And if you feel up to it, also, you are totally welcome to encourage other people in the comments to chase their goals. All right, this painting here was really fun to do. It's kind of unique because the eye is slightly at an angle. So like right here is where like the bridge of the nose starts. Part of me wishes I would have centered the eye a little more, but part of me is like, you know, that's actually pretty unique. I kind of like that. Now, again, I had that class in mind. I'm trying to mess with color and just really be intentional about like what colors I lay down. And so this piece here, I tried not to make the white of the eye like super, super white. And since this eye was kind of sad, I tried to convey that with like a more pinky gray white of the eye. You know how like after you cry, your eyes are kind of like that color? Yeah. Let's start the final painting. I did a couple layers of the diluted burnt sienna, so it ended up being pretty dark, and after that, I began the final painting of this video. So similarly to the first painting, I decided to do a landscape. However, this one is very different than any that I have really done in a while, you know? And this is something I've kind of toyed with in my mind for a while. I want to do like streets and just city views, I guess, sometimes. I don't know. I'm just toying around with the idea and seeing if I enjoy the process before I go on to a bigger painting. And yeah. Now, I'm also toying around with techniques I learned last year, which is like, you see those mountains in the background? I learned that if you paint them a little less saturated and sometimes more with like a purpley blue hue, it looks more realistic, I guess. So I really enjoy that effect. And I think it also just makes things feel softer and more believable. Yeah. Anyway, this entire small painting video was good for me to make. It helped me, and I hope it helps you too. It helped me just to process my life and think about goals, think ahead, think in the past, you know, all that stuff. So I guess if I leave you with anything in this video, this might be kind of deep, but words don't have to define what you're feeling all the time or what you're going through or what goals you have, you know. You can process that through pictures and through creating or any sort of hobby that you have as an outlet. There's value in your hobbies. So I really enjoy that aspect of painting and just creating in general. And I hope it helps you too. I hope you have that. And if you don't have a creative outlet, I hope you have like something that helps you feel like you can express what you're feeling. Yeah. I hope for all of you out there that this year is a little better than last year. And I also just hope you feel inspired to take on new things. This piece here was really fun too. I really enjoyed messing with color in these tiny paintings. I think that's why I like these little paintings, because you can do like fun studies like this. And I think this painting only took me like, I don't know, 45 minutes or an hour. This one took way longer. This one took a lot longer. I generally go for more like saturated skies and like bold colors in my work. So I enjoyed trying to tone it down a little bit and see how that changes my art. I do read your requests, and I know you want a winter sketchbook video. I'm gonna try to make that happen. I also know you want a 3D wool video. You know, I did the wool painting. You guys want to see me sculpt with wool? That is coming next week, so yeah. I also have some really fun things coming, so I can't wait to share those with you. Also, of these 3 paintings, let me know which one was your favorite. I hope you feel inspired, and I hope you feel like investing in yourself this year and tackling maybe a creative goal that you have. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good day and a good year. Yeah? All right, that's all. Bye.